everyone. I'm Rachel here with Ari, and we're your hosts for the Narrator podcast. This week we're on episode 316 asking, how can you take great book photos for your social media? Before we start, don't forget to visit and follow our coffee page. You can access lots of free goodies there. And if you're in a position to support us financially, you can become a Merry Writer for just $2 a month and get exclusive monthly content. Everything earned on coffee goes into keeping the show going, and we really do appreciate any support. Okay, so let's talk about book photos. We're authors. We're not looking to be the next Bookstagrammer or anything of that sort. However, it does help to take decent photos and videos of your books for marketing on social media. Instagram has a huge book community, yet no one has long attention spans anymore. So we're here to discuss how you can take eye-catching photos to promote your books. And this is going beyond just the digital marketing. I don't mean going on Canva and getting a digital mock-up of your book and just putting pretty sparkles around it or anything like that. I'm talking actual photos. And I do want to say that I am crap at doing this, so take whatever I say with a grain of salt. But mostly we're going to be talking about just using the right equipment. We're not going to dive deep into the types of photos that you can take because that's your own preference and your own creativity levels. But to take good photos, you need good equipment. To take the pictures, you can have your phone or you can have a DSLR camera. And those are super expensive. I have one. I am a hobbyist photographer, so I have one and I usually use it to do like bird watching and things like that in my backyard. But your phone is pretty good too. Obviously, a DSLR camera is more professional and there's more stuff you can do with it, but it's a learning curve and it's obviously pricey. Everybody has phones, and the phones actually do take pretty good cameras. This day and age, the newer the phone, the better the camera. And I know I can't speak for anybody who has Android or anything like that. I have an iPhone, and if you do the portrait mode on your camera, I mean, that actually takes really, really nice photos. And I know you can do like the editing before you take the picture. I don't really know how to do any of that stuff, but you can, if you know how to work your phone, you can take really nice photos with your phone.
Well, I have an Android, and I can concur that the phone camera quite useful. I do have a DSLR camera. I don't use the big DSLR very often unless it's literally going out and taking wildlife shots and everything. If I'm planning to do that, usually I just use my phone for that. But I do have a pretty decent little point and click. And if you get the right lighting and things like that, a point and click can work quite well. It's not too expensive, like a little power shot. I think mine's a Canon power shot. I think it's, and sometimes you just need like to know two or three of the settings, and that could be things like the macro setting and the anti-shake setting. Because if you're anything like me, where if you're trying to hold the camera steady and you're trying to get a good shot, and then halfway through your arm starts shaking because you might not have a tripod. I don't always have tripods. Yeah, that can be really useful because it does reduce the blurriness. But one of the things I only just found out on my Android, and I've had a phone for way long enough that I should have figured this out, was, and again, I'm probably preaching to the choir. Everyone probably knows this and they're looking going, Ari, what the hell is wrong with you? How did you not know this? If you're taking a shot, and sometimes it might blur, if you tap, if you like focus on exactly what the image is, and then you tap the screen and it kind of zoom, like not zooms in, but kind of like fixates on that. Fixate, I don't think that's the right word. And then you press
Focus.
it gets rid of the focus. There we are. And it kind of, no matter what you're doing, or how much your hand is shaking or whatever, it seems to really pull the detail out. And I figured this out when I was losing my temper trying to take a photo of a butterfly that was being very still, and every time I took it, it was blurry as hell. And then my partner was like, just hold it, press the screen, and then take the photograph. Beautifully crisp, love it. And again, I'm probably saying this to people who are like, yeah, duh, that's so obvious. But in case you're as dumb as me, that's not nice. In case you're like me, you might not know. So that, and I'm just gonna throw in an extra one, tripod. Oh my God, I bought a really cool tripod, and I'll try and find a photo of it and send it to Rachel to add into the picture. It's, instead of a big tripod that's like metal with like long, long pieces and it all stands up, it's a grip tripod. So it's got three legs and they're bendy, and you can like grip onto a shelf and it holds your mobile, your cell phone for Americans. And that way, if you want to get like a flat lay image, or you want to be messing around and you want to kind of get the book in frame, it can just sort of like grip onto things. You can wrap it around like poles and things. I don't know why you'd have a pole, but maybe you have a pole. And I found that has been so much better than a static standing, you know, stick tripod. I don't know if it's got a real name, but stick tripod. You know what I mean, right? Does anyone know what I mean?
I do. I do. I was going to add that because we didn't write that in the notes, but tripod is definitely a useful thing to have. Doesn't matter what camera you're using or if you're using your phone or an actual camera or whatever. Having a tripod is a game changer because not only does it get rid of the shaky shakes and the blurriness when you're actually taking the photos, but it just leaves your hands free. And if you are using a DSLR camera, oh, well, I guess the phones have this as well. You can just set the timer on it too. So that way you can set everything up and then you could just have the timer going and you can adjust as needed while the phone or the camera is clicking the photos. And I know, like for my camera, I have a remote shutter so that I can set up the camera elsewhere, and then I have a little button in my hand and I could just click it to snap the photos whenever I want. So yes, get a tripod. If nothing else, invest in a tripod for whatever camera you're using. And what you were saying, Ari, about focusing, that's what the portrait mode on the iPhone does. But you have to be like a certain ways away. You can't be too close to it. It's kind of weird. But I have noticed that with the phone, maybe it's just my phone. I have an iPhone 13, if that means anything to anybody. I think the 16 is out at this point, or the 17 or whatever. I don't even
17,
know. Oh,
the
the 17's
17.
out?
I've
Yeah,
just seen
okay.
adverts
Well,
for it, yeah.
oh, well, by the time this episode comes out, I bet you the 18 will already be out. But I have the iPhone 13 and I noticed that if I zoom in and then take a photo, it comes out kind of grainy and blurry. So if I'm trying to take a photo of something, I'll just take the picture and then I go into the photo and I double tap to zoom in and then I just screenshot it. And it comes out so much cleaner for some reason. I don't know why, but the Androids, those zoom in really, really nice. My sister has one, my dad has one, and they zoom in beautifully. So the phone can do the work if you don't want to invest in an actual camera.
Can I just make a point? You don't even have to learn a load because, like, I hate phones. I use it all the time, but I hate them. And I cannot be bothered to learn enough about the phone camera to do anything posh. And I can still take pretty damn good photos. So if you don't want to sit there thinking, oh my God, I've got to learn anything, you don't. Just learn how to like focus and shit. But other than that, no. You don't, I like the fact you don't need to be that obsessive with learning.
No, and the more you do it, the more you'll figure out too. It's not something that you have to excessively research before you get started. You could just do it. And then over time, your photos will get better. And one way to make them a little bit better is having good lighting. Um, you can have natural light, which I believe is the best light. So if you're by a window or if you're outside or whatever, having that natural light is good. Probably shut off all the lights in the room and just have the window or the sun or whatever. But you can also get studio lights. You can get like the big fancy studio lights, or you can just get a ring light. That's what I use. I use a ring light, which I know not everybody likes depending on the brand and the type. But the ring light is good because then you can set up your tripod to go through, like be behind the ring light so the camera is like in the middle of the ring. So you're getting all of the lighting all around it, but nothing's really getting in the way. So that's good too. That's what I use whenever I record for the podcast and stuff. And I also have a light box. So I use my ring light for the light box as well, but although when I got the light box, it's a lot smaller than I thought it was, and the backdrops are kind of annoying because the backdrops are plastic, which is really stupid because they're supposed to bend. But I mean, it's a good size to take books if you just want like a clean background or whatever. And it's a good way to have like a little makeshift green screen or blue screen so that you could do some fancy edits on the computer if you want to do that too.
I'd say I had a light box and it wasn't a bad size because I was taking photos of the jewelry I made, but I found that the lamps it came with were super hot, that they melted their own casing. That is not good. That was a massive fire hazard, and it was not a cheap set. So I was like, yeah, you could last for like 10 minutes and then you're like, it's not plastic, and it was burning. It was terrible. So yeah, be careful if you're using the lights on the side of the light box. and make sure you've got safe ones and be aware that they might be too hot. And I mean, thankfully they didn't set fire to the light box itself. You're supposed to put them on the outside and shine it through. But yeah, they were awful.
That's a new fear unlocked. Thanks for that,
I
Ari.
know.
Because my light box has lights. They have like these little LED lights, almost kind of like fairy
Yeah,
lights, but they're not
that'll be
fairy lights.
fine. Yeah, LED
Um,
because they don't produce the same heat level, but these were
but
like the
it does.
incandescent bulbs and
Oh, that's weird.
yeah.
Why would you do that?
I know. And it's like it's like, oh, screw the bulb in, then put the casing on it. It's like, yeah, and it's like, that's not right. And it wasn't like it was the casing was wrong, it was exactly what it should be, and it was just melting. And then the whole lamp was just hot. So maybe it was a defective one, but both of them were. And it was like, that's unusual, but yeah.
My light box, well, the lights are nice, but then when I try to take a photo of something, I get a lot of shadows. So I still have to use my ring light. It's like the lights aren't strong enough to actually light up the light box.
Oh, that's weird.
I know.
A couple of quick points on natural light. Natural light and direct light are technically the same because direct light is natural, like the sunshine coming through. It's bad. Don't go for direct light. And some suggestions I have, especially if you live in a country like I do in Northern Ireland, where it's it's not sunny very often. If you can take photos close to the window, the best thing I have found is you want to be adjacent to the window. And if you can do it when it's not direct light coming through, you don't want sunbeams hitting. And then what I found really useful is diffusers. Now, I'm not saying go out and buy a big diffuser or a diffuser umbrella thing. You don't need that. I have two things I use, and you don't actually need one of them, but I actually like both. One of them is white muslin cloth. So it's like a kind of like translucent, very light translucent. You have to get it as like liner on curtains, like a very thin material. You put that over the window. It still lets light in, but it softens it a bit. And then the other diffuser is literally foam board. That's it, white foam board. So what you do is you have your items, your books and your props and everything on a table or a desk or whatever it is next to the window. So you have the window on the side, all your items, and then opposite the window you have this white foam board or white card. All you're doing is you're reflecting the light off it, and it diffuses the shadows, because if you've got light source coming from one area, you're going to cast shadows from the item. If you have something next to it, like that would diffuse it. Now again, you can get these like fold down big pieces of material that is official diffusers or whatever. Why spend money on that when you can literally get a piece of card or a piece of foam board, you prop it up opposite the window, and it just softens the shadows. So instead of like these dark black shadows, they soften to a light gray, and it just evens out the light on your items. And I found this out years ago when I first started my shop. And you have to take product photos. And again, we either get direct burning sunshine or overcast. And if you managed to get a bit of light that was good, you had to make the most of it. But having that kind of a bit of muslin on the window, white muslin and a white foam board, and you just softens that and it makes it look so much nicer and cleaner. And they cost very little. Like I think I got 10 foam boards for like £5. You know, I mean, it was a few years ago, but still. And you can use them for other things. And I use like A3, so it's like the bigger, like, the bigger piece. And it really does help. It just softens everything up. So if you can, try that.
That's a really good idea. See, we're learning science today, guys. I'm not sure I quite followed everything that Ari said. I'm sure I'll have to take notes when I edit this episode.
And also, don't use your flash if you can get away with it, unless you really need it.
Oh yeah, flashes are stupid. Don't do that. I'm gonna move on to props. I'm gonna skip my next note and I'm gonna move on to props because I feel like this is a better segue into it. Now, props, you don't have to go crazy with items surrounding your book. Um, and you also don't have to spend an arm and a leg. Like, you don't want your photos to be so cluttered. But props are useful to help grab attention and help make your book cover pop. And the props can also help set the theme or the setting or whatever may be within your book, or they can use just to go along with the color palette of the cover or whatever, just to make the photo look pretty. And what I mean by prompts, oh my God, I can't talk. What I mean by props is one, you can use your environment. So now that we were just talking about direct sunlight and stuff like that, you can toss your book in the grass in your yard and boom, you have a photo with a fancy little background. If you're going to the beach and you have a pirate novel, just stick it in the sand and take a picture with the ocean in the background. Boom, done. All done. Otherwise, you can just use whatever you have around the house, such as candles, keys, blankets, your pet, crinkled paper, flowers, fake or real, whatever you have. Literally anything you have in your house can be a prompt. A prompt. Oh my God, I can't. Literally anything you have in your house can be a prop for your book photos. As long as it, again, pertains to either the coloring of the cover or whatever goes on in your books. Like you want to make it relatable. You want it to look like it has some sort of theme, make it make sense. But finally, you can also buy props if you have some money to spend. You can get backdrops or like little fancy teacups to put your coffee or tea in if that pertains to your book. That's really all I could think of, but you can go on Amazon or something and just look up whatever you want and you can buy whatever you want because we're all adults and we sometimes have adult money that we can play around with.
I completely agree with all of that, especially when the adult money and you're like, yay, I'm gonna spend it. And then you're like, oh, I spent too much on a giant plastic skeleton.
Yeah, regrets are included sometimes. So,
You know what? At least I didn't buy the 300 pound life-size reindeer that I wanted, but it was in England and I couldn't get it over. And I was like, can I get it on the boat? Would they let me take it on the boat? It won't even fit in my car. So sometimes it's good that you can't do things because you would spend too much adult money.
but like that's the type of adult money that I want to spend. Like the Pokemon Center has this jumbo size Psyduck that I want, but it's like $400. Could you imagine me shipping a $400 plush to my house? My parents would be like, "What in the world are you doing?" Actually, they probably wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, they'd be like, oh, it's another delivery from Rachel. Look what she's picked. Well, that's it. It's like when I bought my giant skeleton. I bought it at a shop and then I put him in the car and drove him with with him next to me. And it was like that was fun pulling up to every traffic light and everyone's like, what the hell? And then I would move him around I didn't even buy him for Halloween. It was
I
just
love
I
that.
just wanted a giant skeleton and I still have him. He sits in a rocking chair, but I would
Yeah,
put a
Bert,
cloak on him and
right?
move him around the house. Yeah, yeah. And he had glowing eyes. And obviously, whenever the window cleaner would come, I'd move into a different room and that. And you'd always know where the window cleaner was because you'd, oh, there he is. I even got
Very
him a
Alfred
skeleton
Hitchcock of
cat.
you.
Exactly, yeah. Bert likes to look out the window and see everybody. Um, but anyway, I did have a point about props. That's not buying skeletons. Go to your bargain shops, I don't know what you guys have. Is it Dollar Tree? Like we have like bargain basement and pound shop. But no, I think if you go to like a bargain shop or even like a supermarket or whatever you call them over there. But yeah, go after Halloween, after Christmas. We know when everything's on like knockdown price, and then you can get yourself like little plastic pumpkins and anything like that that's very specific to a season that's past. Don't buy it when the season is in season. So what you can do is you can stock up. I have a box in my cupboard and it literally is my prop box. So if I'm like wandering around the supermarket and it's no longer like Valentine's Day, there's always a discount section of like little hearts and heart-shaped candles, and they've all got like 50p on. And they were like £8 because they're trying to get rid of the stock. And that's where you can get a load of cheap stuff ready for next Halloween, next Christmas, next any other holidays I can't think of. St. Patrick's Day, Thanksgiving, whatever. So do that and sort of you start building them up. And then you can have like, little fairy lights can be really good. And regarding backdrops, you don't even need to get like official backdrops. I like things like fuzzy rugs and pillowcases can be quite nice. They get some really cool textures and colors, and they're so cheap. And again, you can probably thrift them, and they just use them as a backdrop and everything. And layers can be quite good. If you want to buy props, try to reduce the cost and get things that are on discount. And things like the Halloween stuff is always on discount after Halloween because obviously they want to get a shut of it so they can put Christmas stuff up. So that's when you want to go and collect all the little skeletons.
So make sure that you buy a storage bin and you have some place to keep it in your house too, because if you're like me and probably Ari, you could go nuts in the clearance section and just buy all the pretty things.
Yeah, that's why I try not to go around IKEA too much because like they have really good like fake plants and little jars and stationery, and it's just like I'm like I could use all of this.
I have never been inside an IKEA.
What is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Thing
Isn't it
is,
like
it's
ginormous?
oh, it's mass. It's literally they build everything and then they make rooms out of everything. And once you go in, there's like a path, and it's like don't deviate. You can't go back. You have to keep to the path, and you have to walk around everything to get out. And people seem to love standing in the way and just talking like every other shop, and you just want to mow them down with your trolley shopping cart for you people.
See, I think I would get anxiety in such a huge area and like no way out except forward.
I don't know. I think it's so full because it's like walking through lots of people's houses. They're all rooms like with TV. It's like it's all set up. So you walk into a kitchen and then there's like a living room and there's lots of things and there's too much to look at. I don't think you get anxiety. I think you'd be like, "Ooh, look at all the things I could buy for props for my book stuff."
All right, I might have to go to an IKEA. Now, I don't even know where there is one near me. My friend would know. I'll have to ask her. All right, anyway, enough about IKEA. Those are like literally props can be, you can get whatever you want, use whatever you have. And I liked what Ivory said about the backdrops. Like you don't have to get actual backdrops. You could just, get pillowcases or something. Even just get swatches of fabric if you're taking like really close-up photos or whatever. And or even like scrapbook paper. You can probably use scrapbook paper and just tape a couple of pieces together and boom, you have a nice little backdrop. And if you get like the individual pieces of scrapbook paper, like they're pretty cheap. They're like usually like 99 cents or whatnot. But anyway, I think we could probably talk about props for a long, long time. So my last thing I do want to talk about is just editing. Usually after you take the photo, you don't just immediately post it on social media. You usually edit it and just to make sure that it looks nice. And depending on what social media you're posting it on, it'll have different sizes and some rectangle or landscape or whatever because social media is dumb like that and everything's different. So depending on if you're using your phone, for example, to take the photo, you can edit the photo straight on your phone because the camera app or the photo app or whatever has editing tools. Or you can download an editing app onto your phone. Insert editing app suggestions here. I don't actually know, so you'll have to use your own brain power for that. And you can also use the editor within whatever social media you're posting on, because I know Instagram, you can edit photos straight on Instagram. Instagram has their own editing apps that you can use, you can download, whatever. And whether you're using your phone or a DSLR camera, you can also just put the photos on the computer and you can use a program like Canva or software, or wait, Canva technically a software or a program like Photoshop. I don't know what the words I'm saying, but there are editing apps on the computer you can use. And if you can hear Chip in the background, I'm sorry, she says hello.
I have to admit, I prefer to take photos even on my phone and then put them onto the computer and mess with them on Canva. I hate faffing on my phone. I just never get it right. And I think I like Canva because it gives you the sizes for the different social media platforms. I think it's done the new one for Instagram since they changed it last year, technically, because this is 2026. Um, but yeah, it just I like that and to be able to do that. I didn't know you could download um editing software for Instagram. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I forget what it's called, but they recently released, I say recent, it's probably like been out for a year at this point by the time the episode releases, but they released their own like editing app that's specifically for Instagram and you can connect your Instagram account to it or something. I've never used it. I don't even remember what it's called, but it is a thing.
It doesn't have to just be a filter or something, but I don't know. I like everything. I like doing things in Canva. It's just I think I just like Canva. It's easier, and I can't be bothered to do that much editing.
Yes. And you can, well, and also everything is in Canva. Like you can have your brand kit in there and everything like that too. So it's, you have your own fonts you can use and whatnot. So it's better that way. But also, if you really wanted to, if you're in a pinch and you really want to, there are plenty of templates on Instagram. And I know I'm using Instagram as an example a lot because that's the main social media I'm on right now. But there are templates, so if you're taking photos or you're doing a carousel or a reel or whatever, other people have made templates for that you can use for your own feed, and you can just input your photos that way. So you can see what the social media app actually has and what's currently trending if you want to hop on certain trends and all that fun stuff. But yeah, we know what we're talking about, clearly. Not necessarily about social media stuff, but to take photos, I hope we gave some good advice. Okay, I think we covered everything that we could. I know I had another thing to say when I was making notes for this episode, and it still has not come back to me. So sorry, maybe we'll do like a part two at some point if I ever think about it. But for now, we're going to turn it over to you guys. Do you take fancy book photos for your social media? And if you do, what do you do? Because we're curious. Like, what did we leave out? Because I'm sure we left out a bunch of stuff. Let us chat about it in the comments. And remember, we release a new episode every Wednesday. Next week, we're discussing how new writers can approach editing. To ensure you don't miss it, hit the subscribe button on your way out. If you'd like to learn more about us, check out our website at themerrywriterpodcast.podbean.com and our coffee page for more content. Thanks for listening to the Merry Writer Podcast. See you next week. This podcast is brought to you by Excessive Caffeine. We drink a lot. The music, titled Inspired, is by Kevin MacLeod, licensed under Creative Commons 4.0.